Alright guys, we are on to the next episode of Dragon Ball Super. We're up to episode 103 now, and this episode is called Gohan Show No Mercy Showdown with Universe 10. So another episode that I actually really enjoyed. I've heard some people saying that maybe the tournament is not quite as exciting as they would like, but the very last thing said in this episode is there's 37 minutes left in the tournament of power. So we still got plenty of time to go. And then next episode, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. For now, let's talk about what happened today. I was pleased with what we saw. So, the beginning of the episode starts out with Ribrianne kind of, chastising 17, telling him how, she's going to have to throw the hands on him for him knocking out Kakunsa and Vidal, the hentai Batgirl, whatever. And 17, okay, so Ribrianne, we all know how she's like a parody of Sailor Moon, magical girl type characters. And she's sprouting out the maiden's anger, the warrior love. And it's 17, he finds it kind of fun to almost role play with that, it seems like, because she says evil warrior of darkness, and 17 basically he does the same thing Goku does where he goes, oh, I'm evil. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. And 17 is just kind of yes, 17 will defeat you. He kind of plays it up, which I do like. And we even get a shot of Krillin in the stands seems like 17 is having a little fun with this. And for the next couple of minutes, what we have is kind of Goku continuing to fight the other warrior of Universe 2 and her China Fist. And then 17 and Ribrianne are kind of going back and forth. They're not really using any special techniques or anything. Eventually, Goku actually gets pushed back to where it looks like he might be defeated by this China Fist, because she's punching and all the energy blasts are coming out. And she kind of makes it almost kind of do a similar thing as Piccolo's Hell Zone grenade, where it's completely surrounding Goku. And she's about to, she definitely wasn't going to finish Goku off, but she is, basically about to, how can I say this? Make it look, to everyone else, it looks like Goku's about to be finished off. But 17 actually jumps in there and uses his barrier and protects Goku. And he asks Goku if he needs help, and Goku's like, nah, B, I got this. After this, Goku is able to get the drop on her and uses his instant transmission to kind of get around her blasts. And he kind of does a similar thing where Goku places all these blasts around her and then does a big blast that knocks her to the edge of the ring. And it's great because just as he's about to do that finishing blow and knock her almost out, not quite, but to the edge of the ring itself, he actually does mention your fighting style is worth studying, which is the same thing 17 said to Kakunsa in the last episode right before he knocked her out. But when China Fist girl almost gets knocked out, Ribrianne actually jumps off of her fight with 17 to go help her out, and then the Yardrat warrior from Universe 2 actually instant transmissions in, grabs the two girls, and instant transmissions out. So it's kind of like they had started up, but then they're stopping. The Tournament of Power is doing this a little much for my taste, so where it's kind of giving us glimpses of these warriors, but they're oh, we're not ready to get to the climax of the tournament quite yet. We out here. It's happening too much. Oh shit, Hit is about to fight Jiren. Oh no. Oh shit, Goku's about to fight fucking Jiren. Oh no. Oh, Vegeta's about to fight Ribrianne. Oh no. It's okay, now we're maybe doing it too much here. We do need to see a marquee fight happen, right now, which is good because the next episode would definitely qualify as that. So, if not for the next episode preview, and what we know is happening in the next episode, I would say the Tournament of Power is good, but we do need a marquee fight in here. You can't have all of the marquee fights at the end. You have to have a good early match as well. And Goku vs. Kale playing around was fine. Goku vs. Khalifa playing around was fine. But we haven't had a real crazy death battle, awesome, fight between two top level opponents here. It's just been a kind of middling. Goku and Vegeta only went Super Saiyan Blue just as a plot device for Khalifa to see it. Clearly they did not need to against Universe 9. So, we're this far in the tournament, and basically Super Saiyan Blue hasn't even really been needed. I mean, I guess you could say so against Kale, but, that's Let's not get into that right now. So the scene cuts over to Gohan and Piccolo, and Botamo actually approaches them, and Gohan tells Piccolo, I can handle this. And Gohan starts attacking Botamo, just punching him. And obviously, Botamo is able to deflect attacks, like, to a different dimension or whatever, so he doesn't take damage from this. And we see Piccolo think to himself, like, okay, Gohan, you know that Botamo, can't take damage, and he's not going to lose stamina from being hit. What is your plan here? And, Botamo is, like, laughing, like, you little bitch, you can't do anything. And Goku walks up, and he's like, oh, so Gohan's fighting this guy, huh? And he says that, I told Gohan about my fight with Botamo, so I'm sure Gohan will be able to think up a strategy. So, like, again, we've had several references to kind of this, like, strategy meeting that Goku and Gohan had, but evidently they sat there and talked a lot about a lot of different things because, we saw when Goku was fighting Universe 9, and he's like, oh yeah, I came up, with this countermeasure with Gohan, and then now it's like, okay, they thought up a countermeasure against Botamo at this meeting too. I did mention at the time, I'm okay with them doing that off screen. They do that for tension, right? Like, to make it look like, oh shit, like, Goku and Gohan are on the edge, what's gonna happen? And then, oh, boom, actually, this had happened off screen that we weren't, privy to that knowledge. Some people might get upset, but, like, it's just to raise tension. Like, it makes sense, I got it. But Gohan is able to, basically, by continuously attacking, he actually lifts Botamo up off his feet. And Botamo is not able to move because he's being pushed back by Gohan. And he tries to shoot blasts at Gohan, his little green mouth blast, but he's not able to get anything to hit. He's not able to fly. He's not able to do anything. He's just caught literally in Gohan's rhythm. And Gohan gets Botamo right to the edge of the ring by continuously punching. Then he backs up, does a Kamehameha, and Botamo is knocked out of there. Now, it's funny because Gohan actually turns around, like, turns his back to Botamo and kind of says, like, a warrior who's, like, so overconfident in his strength is nothing. And it's like, okay, Gohan, as long as you don't ever do that again, that's fine. But remember, you are one of the most guilty people of that of all time in both the Gohan fight and the Super Buu fight. Just remember that, Gohan. And Botamo does shoot a blast at Gohan's back. And, like, you even see the Elder Kai is like, oh, shit, he dropped his guard. But Gohan is, like, easily able to deflect it. So it's like, he turned around to look cool, but, like, he was actually still paying attention. I was okay with that. And so this was the first member of Universe 6 knocked out. Now, this was in last week's episode, I guess, as it turns out. But when we see Zeno-sama removing people from the God Pad, we do see that 2 of the members of Universe 6 are actually Namekians. So that is going to be something that's going to come up at some point in time. Universe 6 Namekians apparently are going to be a thing. Just be on the lookout for that, because we'll probably see that at some point soon. So after Gohan defeats Botamo, Goku actually heads off in a different direction from Gohan and Piccolo. Piccolo tells Goku, like, hey, motherfucker, listen, do not drop that guard. And it's funny because 17 did also say the same thing earlier. So both 17 and Piccolo are like, hey, Goku, we know how you get down. Please don't fuck up and lose, like, really easily here. We kind of need you. It's very fucking important. And Gohan and Piccolo get approached by 2 fighters, OBUNI and Rubalt, or OBUNI, something like that. The 2 final members of Universe 10. Now, Rubalt says he'll fight Piccolo, and OBUNI challenges Gohan. So they begin, fighting, throwing hands and stuff. And OBUNI is using this interesting technique. We do see Whis in the stands kind of explain what it is, that when OBUNI, like, attacks, he can basically, like, shift his internal energy to, like, kind of confuse, like, Gohan's senses. Because, like, Whis directly states, like, Gohan doesn't just fight with his eyes. He senses the internal energy of his opponents, which, if you remember, like, was a big thing, like, when Goku was training with Popo, or like when Vegito was beating down Buu, and he tells him, like, Buu, you are a pussy. You're relying on your eyes. No, you need to feel your opponent's energy. Like, this is that exact same thing. Now, OBUNI, because of the way he's shifting his energy, Gohan basically can't tell where OBUNI is attacking from. And, like, I do like the effect that they kind of added on the animation here, where it's kind of it kind of like splits up, and you see like 5 of him at once, and they've got like these different colors. Like I remember in last week's next episode preview, I was wondering, I was like, what the fuck is going on with this? And like now we see exactly what it is. This dude's internal energy or key like shifting ability. Whis actually also does mention that it's a very basic move, but it's like super advanced to use. So this OBUNI is actually like a super powerful fighter. Now, OBUNI actually starts beating Gohan's ass because Gohan is not able to sense, where he's coming from or how to handle this. Now, it goes back over to Piccolo versus Rubal, and Piccolo, starts shooting off his blasts that are going all over, and I'm like, oh shit, he's using the Hellzone grenade. And that's exactly what it is. Like, it's crazy because Rubal is like, ha, you're missing with this desperation attack. None of these attacks are even coming close. And like, Piccolo is like, Kisama, look around you again. And all of the energy is surrounding Rubal. And like, Rubal acted like super shocked, and then Piccolo hits him with it. And I thought, oh, okay. So this dude Rubal is actually pretty tough. That was one of those things where like, he pretended to, be like, oh my god, no! And then he gets hit, but then he's standing there, clean as fuck. Kind of like what happened when Piccolo used it on 17 back in Dragon Ball Z. But the smoke clears, and Piccolo one-shotted this man. I'm like, what? Wait, what? Yo! My boy Piccolo putting in work. I am glad. One of my big fears was that Piccolo was going to get dicked again in the Tournament of Power. Because in case you guys are unfamiliar, Piccolo is essentially the only Z fighter to have died in Dragon Ball Super. Frieza killed Piccolo back in the Resurrection F arc. Like, sure, we could say, Trunks' universe got erased, or, the alternate timeline, Goten and Chi-Chi got killed by Goku Black, or, future Bulma. But, like, just the mainline Universe 7 Z fighters, none of them have died in the series except for Piccolo. So I was excited that, like, in our first real glimpse of, like, a one-on-one fight for Piccolo in the tournament, he actually just straight dicks this dude down. And, he kind of, like, Piccolo is fucking badass, man. I don't care what anyone says. Like, he looks down and he's like, hey, man, rules are rules, and then blasts him off of the ring, so that the only member of Universe 10 left still fighting in the tournament is OBUNI, who is fighting Gohan at the moment. Now, Gohan actually powers up into his, ultimate Gohan form. You can tell because the bang is there. That's always, like, the key giveaway. And Gohan starts to use this strategy where he allows himself to get hit with OBUNI's attacks, and then he's able to just follow, like, where his fist or foot, like, hit Gohan. Because he's not able to sense him or, like, really see him too well, he just will take a direct hit, and then he's able to counter from that point. Kind of like almost a similar type. I feel like Dragon Ball, okay, hold on, now I'm going in too many different directions, but I was gonna say, I guess this is like a typical, like, shonen anime type trope thing, but it's, like, very similar to, like, Tobi and Naruto, where it's kind of like, aiming for that direct moment when he's gonna strike is the only time you can strike him because of his ability to phase through objects, like the Vision from Marvel Comics. Well, the same thing here with Gohan, where his only chance to strike OBUNI was when OBUNI would hit him, so that's what Gohan does. And obviously, Ultimate Gohan is ridiculously powerful. This OBUNI guy is as well, but once Gohan is actually able to start, like, hitting this dude, like, he quickly wears down, and he's not able to continue his technique. And, like, there's a moment where they're both kind of, like, breathing heavy, and Whis even mentions, like, this is a good tactic by Gohan, but he will sustain a lot of damage doing this. And obviously, we know the turn on power. There's still 37 minutes left after this episode, so Gohan still has a lot of fights to go, and he's taking, damage in this fight. He's losing a lot of stamina, no doubt about that. But, like, OBUNI and Gohan are both, like, exhausted, and OBUNI actually says, like, you fight well against me, what's your name? And, like, you see, he's kind of like an honorable type warrior. And, Gohan tells him, like, Son Gohan of Universe 7. And they have a final clash. OBUNI's ability is not really able to help him out. Like, it is sad, too, because, like, you see that OBUNI is like he's like a straight up, like, noble, like, type warrior. Like, he tells Gohan, like, I'm sorry, but I have, the fate of Universe 10 to protect in my hands. And eventually, OBUNI's technique does wear out. Gohan is able to knock OBUNI off of the ring with a Kamehameha, and we actually see a pendant gets knocked off of him and lands onto the stage. Now, at this point, like, it literally, like, the same music comes on, like, the Daishinkan is saying very similar things as when Universe 9 got erased, like, and it starts up, the Zenosamas go to start erasing Universe 10, and Gohan looks down at the pendant, and this shit got me for a second, bro. This shit got me. Gohan looks down, and the pendant that had fallen off of OBUNI is actually, it's a picture of, like, his wife and, like, a baby that he had. And, like, Gohan is looking down at this, and you see everyone from Universe 10 immediately phased out, and then the pendant as well. And you see, like, Gohan is, like, obviously struggling with these feelings. And in the distance, we see Piccolo is kind of watching Gohan, probably, kind of determining, how Gohan is going to move forward with this. Another thing I do want to mention, too, because I feel like a lot of people were way too quick to be like, oh shit, the angels are evil, bruh. Daishinkan and the angels are super evil. But it's like, that's still just stuff that, like, it's not really that confirmed. Because, remember, when Universe 9 was erased, the angel was kind of like smirking and laughing, like, ha, y'all bitches got played. But the angel of Universe 10, like, she's real sad, and you see her sigh, and, like, she, Rumshi, the elephant god of destruction, like, she says his name, and she looks real sad and kind of closes her eyes. Like, you can see she's actually genuinely upset that Universe 10 was erased. So, I mean, if she's evil, she's doing a bad job of showing it here. She's doing a good job of hiding the fact that she's evil. At this point, Piccolo kind of tells Gohan, like, come on, boy, let's go, move on. And that's how the episode ends, with a second universe now erased. And the narrator does say that there is 37 minutes left until the Tournament of Power is over. But I gotta say, the ending of this episode was very powerful. Like, that pendant falling to the ground and Gohan seeing that, and, like, as Gohan is looking at that, like, we see Universe 10, all of their fighters get erased, and obviously that this dude's family, OBUNI's family, got erased. Like, it's sad. Like, it got to me. So I'm like, okay, like, we've established, like, real stakes here, which will only make the tension and the fighting more meaningful moving forward, which is a very, very, very good thing. And I gotta say, too, R.I.P. to my boy Gowasu. I really did like Gowasu, and it's like, now this man is gone. Like, that's it. No more Gowasu for us. I mean, I don't necessarily think for sure that they're gone for good, but it's like, I do feel bad for Gowasu, because he fucked up. He picked a bad apprentice. He wanted to make up for that, do good. He was very, you could tell by the way he acted, like he was ashamed of, like, what Zamasu did. And, like, that's it, boy. Like, no making up for it now. But, hey, this was an episode I liked. Let me know what you guys thought of it. I thought this one was pretty good, actually. The ending of this one, very strong. Very good build-up for the next episode.